The Conversation by Sync Skills.
So I became team leader, the first African team leader with over 1,000 immigrants.
Like, how did you decide to move to Australia from Malaysia?
This was going for like 3 years, ongoing, back to back, different type of rejections. On the third day, I just heard a voice that said, go to Nigeria and apply. One day I was just checking my emails, boom, visa notification grant.
I'm not sure my heart can actually bear the kind of rejection upon challenges that you've had to go through.
The truth is, if you don't move, you're going to be stagnant in life. And you have nobody to blame but the excuses that you are consistently giving.
They just gave me clear vision, like clear understanding of why.
Every seed that you plant, it dies first. It dies, and then it begins to grow.
All right, welcome, Sajim, I should say.
Yes,
I should
sir.
put
Yes, sir.
Sajim for
No.
obvious reason, because it's a privilege having you on the podcast today. And if you're familiar, this is the conversation where we share a lot about inspiring African immigrants,
Yep.
sharing life in Australia, career opportunities, and everything in between, basically. So, welcome. I am super pumped to have you on board today. Uh, just because, yes, when we're on call together, I mean, the energy is high. Jim has
Yes,
so
sir.
much energy, so much to share.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
yeah,
Yeah.
this podcast is like just over an hour. I know you can talk for days. But yeah,
Absolutely. I've got my order ready. So yes.
really, thank you so much. For those of you that don't know Jim, Jim is an incredible person. I would describe Jim as a go-getter, a result-oriented person, somebody that
Amen.
is driven. In fact, I was talking to Daya earlier. I said, "How would you describe Jim? How would you describe Jim?" And she said, "Wow, Jim is smart, result oriented." And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'll need to
And
ask her which gym she's referring to, but I think
you
she's too kind. Thank you,
but
though. Thank you very much.
welcome on the podcast. I've been wanting to
Yep.
do this with you just because I
Mm,
know you have so much to share in terms of
absolutely.
career, in terms of life in Australia, in terms of investment opportunities. I mean,
Yeah,
the list is endless because you wear
absolutely.
many hats. You're so
Yep.
driven in all the things you do. You're
Thanks,
inspirational,
man.
and as a career coach, like, we are always excited when we get someone like Jim on board. Like, yes, this person is gonna
Yeah,
bring, the product for us is result as well. So when
that's
we
right.
get a Jim on board and
Hmm,
everything clicks, that testimony, that's another one for us. So yeah, you can imagine how
absolutely.
we feel. So thank you so much. You
Yeah.
inspire us. You're hardworking. You're great. You're smart, and you've done a lot. And I want us to start from, how would you describe Jim to the world?
Wow. Jeez. First of all, thank you so much, Noah, for giving me this opportunity to jump
Yep.
online here with you and talk with your audience. I'm honored to be here.
Thank
Um,
you.
when Tyler said smart and articulate, I don't feel that way at all. Sometimes I'm questioning my choices in life, it has come with a wealth of experience and exposure for sure.
Yep.
So thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you.
How will I describe Jim? Man, first of all, I should probably start by my official name is Dempe, and a lot of people in Australia know me as Jim because of my journey from Malaysia. When I moved to Malaysia, a lot of people couldn't pronounce my name, and
Mm.
so where we're from, the meaning of a name is very important. So they will call me Tempe, which is a type of food in Malaysia, and I wouldn't
Oh.
appreciate it. So I actually asked my mom and went, "Hey, do I have a second name?" She said, "Oh, I always wanted to name you James." And that
Mm.
never happened. So I went, oh, okay, James. And fun facts, the short form of James is Jim, and like William is
Ah.
Bill.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's where
Wow.
Jim came up from. I know.
Mm.
Well, it's gonna be
I'm
hot. This
ready.
session is gonna be hot. So
I
tuck
know. I
yourself
know.
in.
I know. I know. Point one noted. Lesson learned.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, so that's how gym came about, and so it's come from that hunger to adapt, and it's a fine line between adapting and ensuring that you don't lose yourself, that you're staying
Mm.
committed to who you are in the environment that you find yourself at. So I've always found myself in that situation that so just to give you a bit of context, I'm an only child, so a lot of people go, "Ah, you must be a spoiled brat." No, far from that. But my
Oh.
mom did everything that she could within her power and means to ensure that I had the best quality of education that she could afford at the time that I was younger. And
She
so,
did great.
thanks, man. I'll let her know that. I'll let her know that.
She did. She
And
certainly did. Mhm.
thanks, man. And so what has happened was she came to me when I was in JS3, and she said to me in for Australia, I think that would be year seven or so. And she said to me, I want you to study overseas. And at that moment, it was just a far-fetched dream for me.
Mm.
And so I decided within myself that if I ever got that opportunity, I was gonna run with it. I think that was
Mm.
where that gym was born, right?
Mm.
And since then, I moved to Malaysia and starting from grassroots. I'm sure we're gonna have a bit more opportunity to dig into all that later, but moved to Malaysia. Started. That was where my journey started. I think all the principles and foundations that I had from Nigeria were now
Mm.
tested, and I had to bring out myself. So when I finished my study, I studied architecture. There was a drive
Oh.
that a lot of people actually returned back to Nigeria for different prospects. But like I said, that was where the birth of I wanted something different, I wanted something more, and so I kept going. So that was where, like, all odds were like, no, you never can get residency in Malaysia. Like you, as an expert, you would
Mm.
have to, even if you settle down with a local and get and have kids, those kids are actually Nigerians, so they'll end up having your Nigerian citizenship and everything. So I was like, no,
Whoa.
I wanted, yeah. So I was like, no, I wanted something different. I've had friends there that have been there for 15 years, and they're just constantly renewing visas. That's just
Jeez.
the life that you that they're exposed to there. Anyway, so I just kept going. I kept going. A lot of people gave up, and some people had different choices. So not like they gave up, they moved on with different things. And fast forward, after a lot of grind, 15 years later, here I am in Australia, all settled down. Got into investments, got properties, relocated my mom over, started a few businesses, and so in that window of from that young child that was born and kind of having that dream planted in him that hey, I'm gonna get you overseas to where I am today. I think it's taking consistent opportunity of going. There has to be a better way. There has to be another way, and taking that opportunity every time that it presented itself. I know when I
Oh.
first moved to Australia, I moved with about 3,000 ringgit, which may sound like a lot, but when you convert it to Australian dollars, after I paid my rent, I was left with 500 bucks.
Whoa.
So that's where I started, and I had a tuition fee of about $16,000 to pay. I thought that I've paid that fees for 1 year, only to find out that it was for 4 months. And I needed to cock up another 16,000 in another 4 months, right? So
Oh.
giving you snippets of different phases of that journey, and starting from
Yeah.
there to the part where today we're blessed. I say we because now I'm married and settled. We're blessed to kind of be Australian citizens and settled in Australia and being tech thanks to zero to hero now calls sync skills and
Yeah.
and the support that we've obviously gotten through there. So it's hard to kind of give you like Jim, or this is who Jim is.
Yeah.
I can say that I do with the information that I have in the time in that given time, I try to make the best opportunity that I can. So I try to leave
Hmm.
life going with zero regrets, knowing that I've turned every stone to be turned. I've turned it. I've done my time. I've done what I can do. And so if something comes up, oh, could you have done this better? No, because I know that I gave it my best in that time that I did. So that's kind of how my motto and how I live life, and that's kind of what defines me generally. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I perfectly agree with that because
Mm,
I started reading a book called Atomic Habits, right?
mm,
And it actually got me thinking about, it says like tiny habit, tiny
yeah.
changes makes all the difference. Like all what you
Absolutely.
said are compounding habits that you've been,
Yeah.
exposed to from
Yeah.
your upbringing. And that's why I
Yeah.
say your mom did a great job. Like it's not like overnight success. Like, yay, I just
No,
did this. And you said something very powerful. You said, I want to leave something with that feeling like I gave it all my best.
that's
And
right.
and
Absolutely.
we've only met like say how many months now? Maybe 9 months,
Uh,
10 months ish. Is it up to
yeah.
that even?
About a year actually. About a
About
year.
a year. All right. I'll
Yeah.
tell you something. Hey, so one time, the first time we actually talked, and we'll
Yeah.
get into that in more detail. I actually going to
Mm,
a shopping center, and it wasn't
yeah.
actually convenient. If you noticed, to
Yeah.
actually talk that day,
Yes.
I was trying to do stuff,
Yeah.
get my boys prom and get all those set up to move to the mall and all of that. And I wanted to talk to you as well because
Yeah.
immediately I heard you talk, I'm like, whoa, the questions you were asking me. And I have that
Yeah.
intuition that I've built, like I've built over the years, speaking to so many people that there are some calls I just have to have those calls fresh, hot, and communicate
Mm,
the ideas, because I saw
yeah.
that you were so driven, you were inquisitive, you wanted to know
Yes.
exactly how
Yeah.
this was going to happen, how you're going to
Yes.
upskill and get the outcome that you wanted, and which was
Yeah.
super powerful. We would go there, and talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want us to like build that story. So what,
Mm-hmm.
like, how did you decide to move to Australia from Malaysia? I know that, of course, you've discussed all the limitations and all. Why Australia? You could have gone to other countries. You have opportunity, right? Like, I mean, you would
Man,
have surveyed different countries here.
you got to give me a time limit to this to this particular question,
Yeah, I
but
think
that's
I
all right.
know. Just summarized one. Yeah.
I'll try to keep it concise. Why
Yeah.
Australia? Australia was never in my option. It was never a place that I went. I want to go to Australia. I've never had it. As a matter of fact, not until 2014, I've never heard of Australia.
Wow.
Never, never. So when I finished, remember from when my mom said, "Oh, I'll send you overseas." The first thing that
Yeah.
came to my mind is America. Like everyone
Yeah.
knows America. Like, oh, I want to go to America,
Exactly.
you know? And so we started that process, and unfortunately, the agent that we used wasn't very forthcoming, and I didn't get the admission, and a few other people that I was applying with got the admission. And
Oh.
what had happened was he was trying to kind of keep me in trying to keep reeling us in. So he kept saying, "Oh, your admission is on the way." My friends had prepared, they had left. I was still in Nigeria. So it was very, very disappointing. And it got to a point where mom was like, "Oh, at this stage, I might just have to enroll you to a school in Nigeria." I said, "All right." So I started going to schools for exams and whatnot. I went to Covenant University for an exam. Um, And as God would have it, it I got the admission, but we found out one day before it expires. So,
Oh,
and just to give the context, I live in Kaduna, which is the northern part of Nigeria or central part of Nigeria.
yeah,
And Lagos is obviously all the way down west. So to get there in over a day was just impossible. Like
yeah.
so technically we just missed that admission. A friend of mom's came back and said, "Hey, a family member of mine, like his son at that time, his eldest son, was based in Malaysia and was doing well. He was like, oh, it's cheaper school fees and all that." So, mom didn't have any option at this stage, so she was like, "You know what? Let's go for Malaysia." So I ended up in Malaysia, right? Started studying, and fast forward, finished school. My mates went back, and I decided to stay back and work. So I actually worked with. So at this stage, being Africans, you it was unheard of to work
Oh,
officially in Malaysia. This is 2011, right?
oh,
It was unheard of. At that point, there was almost, to the best of my knowledge, right? There might have been in another part of Malaysia that I wasn't aware, but to the best of my knowledge, and trust me, I know a lot of people. I've been in Malaysia for 7 years before I moved, right? So we were very connected. We were in a close-knit community. There was just no one with with a Malaysian employment pass. It was mostly study, and so people just kept studying and studying and studying and studying and studying, right?
mm,
And obviously, he had the cohorts of people that made negative decisions and got down the path of frauds, and which is very common that you hear of. And it was now I was much younger, so there was that drive of wanting to be in that class of hanging out with the big boys and going clubbing and
yeah,
chilling with the chicks. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that desire was there, but the one thing that just kept me grounded was because I speak Malay. I actually speak Malaysian
Oh,
language
no, even
till
now.
today. Yeah,
Ah,
very fluently. So some people approach me going, "Oh, can you talk to a friend of mine?" Like just to try and convince them to get them into whatever thing they had going on, and I'll be like, "No," right? I had 4 months to leave the country,
ooh,
right? And I was done schooling, I graduated. It was leave. There was no extension. It was leave. So this was now December. So fast forward December. Now I had 2 months left. So it was going to expire in about January, and there was still no jobs. I was even offering to work for free. I was like, just employ me. I'll work for free. Just give me the work permit. Nah. The first thing they go, after I've done the application, you walk in, you're black. They go, "Oh, you Africa." And that's it. They're like, "Oh, Malaysia only." And it was a little bit difficult. I understand that, yes, it might be because the market that they were supporting was possibly just the locals at that point, but it just didn't give as many internationals the opportunity. Plus the stereotype that your native African person had at that
mm,
time in Malaysia wasn't the greatest. So you had everything, all those odds against you that you walk into a room and people already have a predefined perspective or assumption of who you are, right?
yeah.
So in all of that moment, Australia was never in my mind. I was just like, I need to make it in this country. I need to push hard. So one day, I got a friend told me, "Hey, this company is actually hiring. Apply, go down the way." So I did. Lucky enough, I got the offer. I got the interview. I was meant to go, and the transport there was like 50 ringgit, which is like $20. No, I did not have $20 for that transport.
Wow.
I did not have $20 to get myself to that interview. You know, it was 10 p.m. My interview was the next day, 9 a.m., and I still hadn't figured it out. I was making calls, I was pushing, I was knocking on every door that I could. Man, I was literally out on the streets, literally going, "Man, bro, I just need $20, bro." It was insane. And one time I just called my pastor. It was going late, like people were already going into their houses and stuff, and it was really getting late. And I remember calling this guy. I actually texted him a few days ago, Pastor Nick. So I called him. I said, Pastor Nick, man, he's seen me through a couple of times, and I'm like, man, it's cold out here, brother. It's cold. I'm like, I've got an interview tomorrow, and I don't have a means to go. He's like, what do you need? I said, 50 ringgit. That's all I need. He goes, ah, man, but he stayed a little bit further than I was. I'm like, I will leg it tonight. I will get to your place to get this box. And he said, all right, if you can come through, I'll make sure I've got it ready for you. Bro, I walked, it was
Oh,
dark. It was dark. It was like a good 30 minutes walk over to his place and another 30 plus back.
oh.
But I didn't care. I was just like, I needed to get there and I was going. So I went, got the money. Bro, I was so excited. It was like I won a jackpot. So got back, ironed my outfit and everything. And I needed to be up at 4 a.m. to
Mm,
get ready and get at the house by 5 to be at that place at 9 because it was almost like a 2.5 hours trip to get there. So
mm,
for anyone that knows Malaysia, I was living in Mantin and I needed to get to Klang. So Klang it's a very regional spot. So you got to go to KL first, which is about an hour plus, and then you catch a train from KL to go to Klang. And that's again, it's like on the end of the line as well, you know.
mm.
So, anyways, so the next morning I was ready, got in the train. Lucky enough, I met Pastor Nick on the train, and I was like, man, this. So
Oh,
he was on the train as well with me, and I was like, bro, man, I just need to land this job because then I can't, I don't want to be illegal in this country, you know. Anyways, fast forward, he prayed with me. I'm a spiritual person, and I believe in that, so I prayed with him, and he encouraged me, and he said, don't worry, it's gonna work out. Went there, got interviewed. I'll save you the story of that. But long story short, came back home. Out of five of us, plus the guy that told me about the job, I was the only one that got selected.
wow.
The only one that got selected. So I got in. That's how I started working in Malaysia. I was working with Singtel Telecommunications at this time, which is a subsidiary of Optus.
Wow.
And that was how I started hacking it. So I got in within the first month. I walked up to I asked who was the best agent on the floor. And I think you've heard this story. I walked up to him and I said to him, "You're the best." He goes, "Yeah. What's your name?" He's like, "Where are you from?" He told me. I was like, "Ah, cool." I said to him, "I will beat your record." I was like a newbie. I didn't know anything about it. I said to him, "What's your stats?" He told me. I was like, "All right, cool. I'll beat your record." But I kept grinding, day in, day out, day in, day out for 4 months. All of a sudden, probation is 6 months. A manager calls me in the fourth month and goes, uh, "The director is calling you." I'm like, bro, why the hell does the director? Meanwhile, sorry, take a step back. By landing that job, that meant that I got a 2 years employment pass in Malaysia.
Wow. That's a rare thing.
That
That's not popular. That's not
Nah,
easily accessible.
that's
That's you
right.
doing the hard thing. Hmm.
Yeah. So that was how I got the 2 years work permit, which allowed me to
Yeah.
work in Malaysia and live in Malaysia. Obviously, after some time, I moved and all that. But then, fast coming back to the probation, I had finished with the 4 months, and the director called for me, and I went over to his office, and he said, "Hey, we've got a complaint about you." And I was like, "Complaint?" He
What?
goes, "Yes." I said, "What's the complaint about?" He goes, "Oh, you failed to call back your customer." I looked at him
Oh.
dead in the eyes. I took a second, went through my phone, and I said, "That's not true." He went, "What?" I said, "Yeah, that's not true." He goes, "What makes you so confident that I said, "Because I keep track of all my customers. I know everyone that I'm supposed to reach out to and what needed to be done. And as a matter of fact, I just called the last person a few minutes before you called me. So there's no way I haven't called anyone. Show me the data." And
Whoa.
they both went quiet. And the other guy just nodded. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Right? Okay, now just to paint a little bit more picture, there's both of these guys are Indians, and there's this huge thing about Indians and Africans at that time where
Yeah.
it's all about trying to find the wrong things that they've done. Like it's just cutthroat, just put it that way. And by the way, I have no bias for Indians because I'm married to an Indian, so just put it out there, all right?
Yeah.
So, but that was just what the environment was. And they said to me, all right, cut the crap. So in the badge of new staff, there's what we call an AB, which is like a senior person that looks after the younger staff, and then there's the team leader, and then you've got the operations manager and stuff like that. And he said to me, and I'm still 4 months. Remember, probation is 6 months. He goes, we've looked at your record. You smashed everyone on the floor, and we are considering for you to be a team leader. I went, I,
Ooh.
I looked, I was like, wait, what? He goes, yep, we want for you to be a team leader.
What?
I said, look, I'm flattered that you would think that of me. Thank you very much. See you guys later. He was like,
This is a
hold
trap.
on, we're actually serious. You have a team.
Oh.
Man, it took me a second. I was like, are you just trying to mess with me or like, is this another prank? He goes, no, 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 we're actually serious. And then he started showing me information. He goes, if you're interested, let me know. Would really like to interview you for the role and everything. So I was like, all right, cool. No worries. So I went back home. I was still blown away. I couldn't tell anyone. I just told one of my mates. And anyways, fast forward, I did the interview. I got the role. So I became a team leader, the first African team leader to be in that company with over 1,000 immigrants. The
Wow.
first.
Wow.
And started off. So shortly after, this was 4 months into my employment.
Yeah.
Started off, and then 6 months later, our team got the best team um, in the whole company. So in that department, we got the best team, and I got the best team leader. So at this point, I was actually quite excited. I felt like, I'm getting somewhere, that drive, we're making progress. But very quickly, I realized that that was sort of the ceiling,
Yeah.
and there was just no further, because further than that, there was just no other opportunity. So fast forward, I started thinking of what's my next step. What do I want to do in my career? How do I want to push next? So I started applying for schools to move on to doing other schools. So I applied to Canada, I was rejected. I applied to the United Kingdom, I was so each of these countries I had at least seven schools. University of Dalhousie in Canada, Toronto University or University of Toronto, in Manitoba, then Dalhousie, then like it just went on. Even in South Africa, University of Joburg, I was applying there, didn't get it. Glasgow
Wow.
University, didn't get it. Strathclyde University, didn't get it. Um, University of so back in Malaysia, so Taylor's University, didn't get it. Then went to
And you
National
kept
University of
applying still.
Singapore, didn't get it. Bro, I kept going. There's this Helsinki University in Finland, didn't get it.
Yeah.
There's another one in Finland that gives free tuitions and stuff. Didn't get it. Bro, I was shooting everywhere. Then I got to a point that I got one admission in Canada. I was like, oh, great. So I applied for the visa, got rejected. Then I
Wow.
said, all right, let me try and get to other countries. I applied to Singapore, got rejected. I applied again to Canada, got rejected. I said, all right, let me try other places. I applied to US, got rejected. Right at this point, I was just like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
I was down.
Dealing with rejection.
Yeah.
My goodness. And you kept
So
going and going.
at some point, I was just like, I've had it. So I stopped. I was like, I'm done. Like, because the schools, the visas, like every point, this was going for like 3 years, ongoing, back to back, different type of rejections on the
Oh.
go. So I moved across companies thinking, oh, I was going to move to Canada. So I moved to American Express and then afterwards moved to Korean Airlines. Rejections were just coming through, So I stopped. I gave up. I said, like that was it for me. I was going to get married in Malaysia, settled down. Um, I speak the language anyways, maybe find someone that I was going to be with. I started looking for admission in one of the cheap school and just I was like, that's it, man. It looks like that's it for me. There's no pushing any further, you know. And it was going all right until one day, some agent from nowhere messaged me and went, "Hey, I've seen your application on our website. We would like to take your application on. We're sure we can get you admission to Canada." I was like, bro, what are you gonna do that I haven't done? I was like, nah, man, nothing. It was a joke. I called him, we spoke, and he goes, nah, 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 we're convinced, with your grades and everything, we're pretty sure we can get you through. And I said to him, nah, man, I don't think you can. He goes, all right. I said to him, you know what? I will pay you to prove you wrong. I will pay for your
Wow.
services. I'll give you all you need, right? Just to prove you wrong. So you can see that I truly have done everything. So I sent him the documents. He had a look and he went, "Oh, Canada, you've gotten two rejections there. Nah, let's try somewhere else." And he goes, "Oh, can we try Australia?" I'm like, "What? Who is that?"
What is Australia?
I'm like, "What? Australia? Australia? Who?" I'm like, "Nah." So I went and Googled and I was like, "Oh, that's actually a whole country." Started looking it up and I saw the fees. I'm like, "Hell no." You know that song,
Expensive,
"Hell
eh?
no." To the no, no. I'm like, hell no, bro.
Uh,
It was
Australia
too
fees can
expensive.
be cutthroat.
Nah, it was. Anyway, so fast forward, he applied, got the school admission. First school admission got rejected, and I said to him, "See, I
You
told you."
see?
So it's my application, but I'm the one telling him that. So the school offered an option, then he reapplied, and the admission was the offer came through. So I was like, "Oh, well done." So then we went for visa. We applied, did everything with the visa. What do you think happened?
Rejected.
That's right.
Ah, jeez. Come on. My
Yeah,
heart can't
man.
take this anymore, man.
Yeah, man. He got
Oh
rejected.
my.
This guy literally cried.
Woo.
He literally cried because he was like, I've literally done everything. I was just laughing. I was like, bro, my mom was so scared at this point. She was like, this guy can go and hang himself with all these rejections. But it was real. It was real. And a lot of people, I just want to take this time to say that a lot of people go through these things in life. And
Yeah.
it might sound, because I'm telling the story at this end, it might
Yeah.
sound like, oh man, he was really hard, like he stayed focused. I would tell you the truth. I gave up. I just couldn't take it. It got to a point where I honestly, my heart couldn't take it. If I
I
got
know.
back, and you can talk to one of my mates that I know has gone through the course. You can ask him. There was a day I sat with him in the living room and I was looking at him and I just started tearing up. I was like, what have I done wrong? Like, actually, because the school kept asking for different documents, this and that. And I'm like, I have never seen my dad's death certificate.
Wow.
Australia made me go look for it because my dad passed away when I was 3 months.
Oh
They're
my
like,
god.
we need to see the evidence that this guy is dead. For
That's
it was insane. The
no.
whole process was just ridiculous. But anyways, at the end of that journey, took 3 days, locked up everything, said to myself that was it. On the third day, like literally, this is not even like me trying to. On the third day, I just heard a voice that said, "Go to Nigeria and apply." That was all I heard. And for me, anytime anything falls in my heart, yeah, sorry, you're gonna say
Like
something.
go to like leave Malaysia, go to Nigeria and
Yes,
apply.
Yes, that was all the
Whoa.
voice said. Did not make sense. So what I now did was I took a pen and paper, right? I started writing, okay, flight ticket, how much is it going to cost? I checked the different
Wow.
flights. I put the amount, $3,000. Okay, visa fee, how much is it? 85,000 at that time. I put it down, 85, blah, blah. Okay, and then I called mom. I was like, Mom, if I was to come to Nigeria now, like, what's up? Like, she goes, you come, you're on your own. I ain't got nothing for you. I'm like, okay. So I had to get my pocket money. Like, I had to make sure everything was there. I'll save you the nitty gritty there. I got to Nigeria, that whole one. That's why I was like, how much of this do you want to cover? I ended up going to Nigeria. The way I got to Nigeria is crazy because I actually only bought the flight to Lagos. Remember I told you how far Kaduna is to Lagos?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm based in, yeah, so I only got
yeah.
the funds to buy my flight to Lagos. I did not have money to buy from Lagos to Kaduna. I did not
Jeez.
have that fun. And the funny thing is, all everything I'm telling you now, I know a few people will look back as some people that were with me have always wanted for me to share the story at some point with,
Wow.
because they were
Thank
just
you.
like your
This is
story is I don't even know. It's so I'm blessed to have this platform to actually touch a
wow.
bit on what the journey looked like. So because when we come down to Australia, the reason why I'm really painting this picture is to help you understand
The
where that
journey.
hunger is coming
Wow.
from. You
Wow.
know,
I
it
see
it
it
it wasn't
already.
it didn't just happen. It's not like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy. No, it has never always been that way. There was a process, there was a journey, there were incidents, there were things that's happened in my life that has defined the character or the person that you see today as Jim. So that's why when you
Wow.
say, oh, so what would you define him like? Jim is just made up of all of this different failures, challenges, a few successes to be who I am today, you know. And and
Wow.
through that journey, I've always challenged others. And I know people that are here in Australia because I picked up a phone and I constantly, for over a year, kept telling them, you can do it. Get ready. Just get started. You can do it. I know my mate, I won't call his name, but um, he called me about almost 3 years, 4 years now. And I kept telling him, bro, you've built? He said, yes. I said, did you have all the funds to build a house when you started? He goes, no. I said, that's what the dream is like. You just need the vision. You would not have all the money. You just need to start.
Yes. Yeah.
And fast forward, after 1.5 years of talking to him, he finally started the process. After another almost 2 years, he got his admission, came to Australia, and we met in person. And he was like, oh, what's the
Wow.
next? And from the day he came till today, now he's finished his school. His wife has joined him. You know, he's
Wow.
never had to lack tuition fees. Why?
Hmm.
Because we were able to work out steps, strategies, and God is obviously um, used me to
A
create
big part of
information,
yeah.
but more of connected him with people that have blessed
Yeah.
his life to be able to support his journey and bring him to a point of fulfillment. This is just one story, right? And I
Hmm.
feel like so many other stories will come out from my story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I went back to Nigeria and I reapplied in Nigeria and I went back to Malaysia and I was like, honestly, this is it. I'm like I'm done. I'm done. 1 week, 2 weeks. One day I was just checking my emails. Boom, visa notification grant. I
Oh
opened it.
my God. I remember when I got my own
You
and
know that email.
I know that feeling, but it can't be anywhere close to what you must have felt. Jesus.
Oh man, yes, yes. So
Tell me.
I
Wow.
literally, I literally stopped everything. I lied down on the floor, flat, and I was just like, oh my God.
So
In
you
fact,
knew
when I saw the
before the
email,
agent. You knew before the
yes, I
agent. Oh my.
yes. So
Wow.
I literally had to borrow $2, which is like 6 ringgit, to top up my phone and call the agent. $2, $2 Australian.
Wow.
So I finally called
Imagine
him
if
and I said, mm,
imagine that agent
like,
was not very passionate about helping you.
that's
Like we
right.
have so many other ones today. It would have killed a lot of and that anyway, let me not cut that story short. I need to
Yeah,
get to the end.
nah, that's fine. So, anyways, that was how I got the visa, and so I moved to Australia, and here I am today. And obviously, the whole that's why this is why I said
I know,
it's
concise.
a yeah,
You're
yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're trying. Oh my,
I've tried.
oh
I've
my
tried.
god! If it
Yeah,
looks like I'm watching Netflix, like the story, the drama, but this is a real person
that's
going
right.
through this. I think I've
Absolutely.
gone through a lot of things in my life, but I'm
Yeah,
not sure my heart can actually bear the kind of rejection upon
yeah,
challenges that you've had to go through. And I mean, it just even gladdens my heart. Like,
yeah.
when we see Jim, we see end product now. We don't actually
Yes,
gain appreciation of the things that you've been through, the habit that you
absolutely.
from the challenges that you faced head on. Like that
Yeah.
is super.
Thanks,
Wow.
man. Thank you.
So you got to
Yeah.
Australia and then you found out that wow, you still need to pay some hefty school fees. How did you get your first job in Australia?
Oh man. Um, so firstly I met this man. He is a father to me. He has
Hmm.
been an angel in my life.
Wow.
And he's one of those silent people on the back scene, but he has been a star. His name is Mr. Emeka Okodishu. He
Wow.
has first time I met him in Deakin, he said to me, it was myself and a friend. He said to me, "Hold on, are you in a hurry?" I was like, "Hell no," because it was the first African that I'd seen in
Yeah.
the school. And so I waited for him. He went, did his stuff, came back. He took us to his place. He met his family. The first Nigerian I met that owned a property in, like, that had a plate, like a full house. I was like, wow. I was
Wow.
very impressed. And he's a very humble man. And he just spoke to me like, oh, what are you up to? How have you come? And I gave him my story, and he connected me with his son, and we kind of became friends from there, brothers really. And from there, he said to me, "Oh, there's someone that I would need to call." So he called a lady that he said to her, "Oh, could you help him get a job?" And so she called a few of her friends, someone that owned the restaurant, and he asked if she was able to bring me along. So she took me one of the days. I went down, saw them, and I got the job. So it was my first job was a dishwashing job in Australia. So that was how I started. It was long hours, doing dishes. I was doing my masters, mind you, but I had to still pay the bills. So I was doing dishes. I was in the kitchen. Graduated to a kitchen hand. So that's where you supported the chef. Uh, and then obviously from there, I kept looking for other jobs, and then I graduated to cleaning. So I started cleaning. I was cleaning Woolworth. So if you've walked into any Woolworth, commend the people that clean it. There's not a lot of people that clean Woolworth. I can tell you that. There's usually one or two people that clean the whole of Woolworth, any of the Woolworths that you're in. So um, uh, and that was how the journey actually went. So yeah, so I started off cleaning, and that was how I got that job, and then I moved on to doing other things afterwards. But yeah, and then shortly after, so it was long hours, obviously, and after a few weeks, I graduated to a kitchen hand, so I was helping the chef, you know, and then from there. I got into other. I started looking for other jobs. Then I got into cleaning as well. So fun facts. If
Wow.
you see anyone cleaning Woolworth, there's actually not a lot of people that. So if you've been to Woolworth, there's only one or two people that clean Woolworth at a time. So you see
Wow.
how massive Woolworth
That's a
is?
lot of job.
Yeah.
Lot of work.
And you got three
Wow.
hours, literally, to do the whole thing. So I'll do that. And then obviously by the time I finish, the train is gone. I have to wait for the train. I'll be in the winter cold. That was kind of how life started in Australia. Like it was a bit of a grind. And then I quit everything in October. I quit it, and I was like, I'm gonna go back to doing something different, aligning with what I did in Malaysia. And I know I remember one of my friends going, "Man, you're crazy. How much do you have saved?" I was like, "Man, I only have 1K." And he was like, "Wait, how?" I literally only had $1,000 saved. Um,
And you still have school fees to
and I
pay
had
then?
$16,000 school fees to pay coming up.
Ah, Jesus.
This was so I just said, nah, this is not gonna get me there. And because of the time that I was putting in, there was no way I was gonna get time to apply for the jobs. Because by the time I'm done,
Yeah.
I'm knackered. Like I'd done it for
Yeah.
months, so I knew that there was no way around it, right? So I started applying. I started going from Geelong, where I was, to Melbourne City to actually go and started knocking, putting my resumes out there, putting in jobs, just doing that hard. And one day I was frustrated. I'll print out like 30 CVs. I'll go just give it to different companies. I call them on and just here to go, oh yeah, we almost club. Like, yeah, I'm just around the corner. I'll go give them the resume. I'll come back. I'll call another company. Oh, I'm just looking for this role, blah, blah, blah. Are you guys hiring? And they'll be like, no, but I can give it to them. I'll give them my resume as well. Please let them know. Can I get their email? I was like the whole day would go, and that was all I was doing. So after
Wow.
about a week, I was coming back in the train. I was frustrated. I was tired. Yeah, this like the 1,000 I'd paid for rent. I was now on the last leg. There
Oh.
was now no job again, but this is in Australia. So I sat in the train. I was just looking out, thinking about my life. I was like, it's even better to just go back to Malaysia. At least I had things going on there. And the funniest thing happened on that train. I'll never forget this day. This guy came, he was putting his jacket up on the if you've been to Victoria, the V lines have got like a spot that you can put your stuff on the top rack. So he was putting his computer bag and his jacket up there so he could sit. And he looked at me and goes, "How you going?" As always, right? Like that's a basic Australian
Yeah.
greeting. He's like, "How you going?" And
Yeah.
and I don't know, out of that anger in my heart,
You told him.
I just looked at him and went, "Not good, mate, not good." And there was no jokes, no, like it was just no smile. I was just like, "Don't even talk to me, like, just let me be." And then he finished and he sat down and he goes, "Why's that? What's going on?" This is a complete stranger. For a second, I was like, "Bro,
Wow.
just let me be, please. Like,
Leave
just
me
just
alone, I
let me
beg.
be." And a piece of me just said, talk to him. So I was like, all right, fine. I said to him, like, I'm just trying to get a job, man, and it's just been really hard. And he goes, what have you been doing? And I said, oh, I've been applying to Seek. I've been printing out my resume. In fact, I've been in Melbourne all day today, giving my resume out. And I've been hitting on apply every day. I apply for like 50 jobs, 30 to 50 jobs every single day, and I haven't gotten nothing. This guy looked at me. You know what he said? He goes, "That's what you're doing wrong, mate."
Ooh.
I said, I looked at him, I'm like, bro, that it's about time for you to mind your business. You know, I was so filled with anger. I was like, what do you mean that's what I'm doing wrong? Like, I'm showing you how much effort I'm putting, and you're telling me that. I'm like, come on, like, yo, you're being unreasonable. This were all the conversations that were going in my head. I was just about it. I'm like, man, you know what? Like, I knew the first time when you said how you going, not to even talk to you. I was just having all that in my head. But somehow, what came out of my mouth was completely different from what I was
Different.
thinking.
Yeah.
The first thing that came out of my mouth was,
What do you
exactly, spot on,
mean?
spot on. What do you mean? What do you mean? And he said to me,
Wow.
he said, you're applying to all of these jobs. And from what you're telling me, you're hitting apply. That means you're not customizing your resume to fit that role that you're applying for. So you could be applying for that cleaning job, or you're
Yeah.
applying for whatever role in IT or
Okay.
whatever space, but
Yeah.
your resume still says you're doing cleaning or dishwashing in the
Not
restaurant.
gonna not gonna happen.
And and somehow, today that sounds crazy to me. Like, why would I have even done that, right? But in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time, it made so much sense. Right? It's like, this is me. This is my resume. This is what I've been doing,
Ex-
you know? And it
exactly. Yeah.
didn't make sense to me that anyone would think otherwise. And he said to me,
Wow.
what you need to do is go back, sit down. Even if you just apply for 3 to 5 jobs in a day, that's much better than going 30 to 50 jobs of blank shots.
We need we need to cut this part as like
A
you
whole,
know what we do when we CV strategy, all of this is real life.
yeah,
Sometimes if I'm saying it no, they think
yeah,
but I know some of them believe. But yeah, to add more emphasis,
yeah.
this is real life Jim's
That's
experience.
right. That is
Yeah,
true. And that was long before obviously we had met. It's way before,
yeah,
right?
of course.
You know? And after he told me that, still didn't make sense. He goes, go and do 3 to 5 job applications a day. And at the end of the week, I can assure you get a call. I was like, hold on a minute, brother. Why are you saying this? Like, you sound like you've got so much experience. The guy turned around and went,
Yeah.
I'm a HR manager with Optus. And I'm like,
Oh.
brother,
Uh,
actually. And he said, I said, so are you hiring? He goes, no, I'm not. But I can tell you that I get those applications. You're one of those people that the first thing I do is delete the application because I can tell that you haven't looked at the role. You haven't, you would not fit the culture. You haven't done your research. So you don't even know about the job, really. And you're just trying your luck.
hmm,
Man, it was hard and bitter truth. I was like, it was a hard pill for me to swallow. I believe that
wow.
that was an angel because I've traveled that train for more than 7 years now. And yes, they say, oh, you meet random people, you probably never see them. I've seen a lot of people,
Yeah.
but I've never got his name, never got his number, never got connected. But I walked away with a priceless advice. And I went back home and that was exactly what I did. No, in 2 days, not even three, 2 days, I got a call
Wow.
after doing exactly what he said. So I went to Deakin, went on the website for Deakin Talent, found a job, did that. I took 3 hours just on that application. I wrote my cover letter, I wrote my resume and everything. That's how I got in to an official job in Australia for the first time.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I was
Just
I
wow.
was literally I literally had booked my appointment with the Malaysian embassy. I had booked
You
yes.
wanted to leave?
Yes. I had booked my flight ticket details, not paid for. I had booked the hotel details as well. I had all the application requirements and I was going to go to the embassy to apply. At that time, the visa was $7, 7 Australian dollars. I would
Wow.
have gotten it.
But let me ask. So Australia and Malaysia. I've never been to Malaysia. But just I know there was a lot of struggle for you at that
Yeah.
time, going through that phase. But did you see a big difference between both countries? Like, hey, Australia is that place for me, or the struggles was just too much that you just felt maybe I'll get a better life back in Malaysia?
It's almost a story of the Israelites.
Hmm.
You know, they keep praying to God, get us out of Egypt, get us out of Egypt. The moment they cross the
Yeah.
Red Sea, first
Hmm.
thing is they turn around to Moses and say, you should have left us back there.
God. Yeah. Why did you bring us here?
Yeah, you should have left us there. So it was a similar situation that even though I knew that Malaysia wasn't it for me, but it was I had already navigated, I had a network there, I'd navigated, bro, I had a system working for me in Malaysia. You know,
Yeah.
I built my life all around. I've lived in different cities, different states. I had connections, networks. I know the wholesale dealers. I know some business to go into, legit, to make some good money. I used to buy handbags and send to African countries. I buy it at a giveaway price and sell it in really big money back in Africa, you know? So I knew and I had all those opportunities. So I built all my network and like I knew my way around, you know? I had wholesalers that would buy goods for a fraction of the price. I'll export it to Nigeria, Botswana, and I'll make quite a killing for it, you know? It, and I'm talking you buy a bag of 70 ringgit and you sell it for $300.
Oh.
So you're making so much profit, even if, you know, you've got cost of transportation and all that. Anyway, so it was much better for me to do that hustle in a place that I understood than in Australia where it felt like it was just, I didn't know anyone, I didn't have any connections, like I didn't have any support. And the only Nigerians I knew where I could count them on my fingertips. So that was why I just thought that I was going to go back. But that
Yeah.
was when the morning I was getting ready to was when I got the call um, for the job.
Wow. Wow. And this job was what role was this job? What role?
I started working with the TAFE. So
Hmm.
so I had an agency that I was working with that provided services to this different TAFE, and that was sort of working with them in different capacity with their service. But it was good, but didn't have that. Obviously, it was on demand, so it depends on when you're needed and stuff. And I still had sixteen thousand
Yeah.
dollars
Yeah.
to pay, so I was doing that, and then went back to doing some part of cleaning. But yeah, that's
Wow. That's a So you got into investment. How? How did you learn about investing in Australia? Different businesses that you particularly I know you actually helped a lot of people with visa processing. Let's start from there. How did you get into that? I don't want to get into all the details. We will not finish this podcast
yes, definitely not,
today.
definitely not. Yep. So, with let's start with investment. As you already know from the onset of the story, I've told you that I've always wanted to kind of go out there and, as some of us would say, get what's mine, you know. And in that journey, when I had arrived at Australia, I started hearing all about properties and how it was such a big space for you to make good revenue from. I was already studying construction management. So it was just a good segue to get into properties. So I did the funniest thing actually, Noah. There's this company called Mass and
Mm,
Land, and they usually hold what they call a conclave. A conclave is a
mhm.
seminar or like a conference where, and I use that connotation because mostly conference are like spiritual conference, but this is not. This is more like
Yeah,
properties
yeah.
conference. um, or the ones I've been to mostly. So with that conference, it was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for 3 days. And what they do is talk about property from every nitty gritty, starting from tell us
Really?
about yourself. What are you doing? I still have the gold, some of like the gold books, some of the CDs that I got at that time. So
Wow.
literally going, all right, write about yourself. Like, what's your income? You put your income down. What's your expenses? How much are you paying for car, water bill, light bill, internet, phone, like everything, write it down. And then they compare. Is your income 10,000 and your expenses 20,000? Yes. Then that means you're paying 10,000 in credit cards or loans. If your income is, let's say, 15,000 and your expenses is 5,000, you're in a great space. A lot of people were more in the point where they were just starting off. So their income was either just about, or their income was a little bit more, and their expenses was more than that, or like it was just about that, right? And I'm here, I'm still paying school fees.
Your own is like
My expenses, my expenses is there.
expense
My income,
income.
you know. And but one thing I learned about that was understanding about properties. I started hearing terms like deposits, 9%, LVR, um, mortgage rates, interest rates, banks, mortgage, broker.
Yeah,
Like I started
yeah.
hearing those terminologies. And at the end of that session, I walked away going, I want to get into property. I had paid,
Wow,
aside from my school fees, I had paid $4,000 to be in that course.
wow. Wait, you mean the conference?
Yes, it wasn't free.
You paid 4 grand
Yes,
to acquire knowledge.
for three
Well, that's not.
for 3 days.
Wow, wow. That's why do you think that is what? I'm actually balancing the scale here, given that your income at that time is not like, oh, like now it's okay, you can do that. But then for you to pay 4 grand for a 3 day conference, what were you thinking about?
F- For me, Noah, it's never always been about the mints. It's never been you need to you want to buy a car. It's 100,000. You need to get 100,000 to buy the car. Bro, I would rip apart every steps to get that car. There's novated
Absolutely.
leasing. What is novated leasing? Can I
Yeah,
get into a company that will get me a car? Okay, okay. All right. I have this company. How can I get into that company? I would look at every angle to to get that legally, obviously. All right. And when I heard about the course, and I must say they were really good marketers for sure. Aside
yeah.
from the fact that made it sound like, bro, if you buy into this, your life is set. You know. And even though, yes, it wasn't as that, but it became profound knowledge that is still serving me till today.
Absolutely.
Till
Absolutely. It is
today.
always value
Yeah.
because that knowledge obviously has shaped your thinking.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's how I started. So, anyways, fast forward, I had the opportunity to go out work a little bit in the regional space in New South Wales. So I started working really hard. I did some massive savings there, and then reconnected with the person who's my wife now. Reconnected with her at that time, and in the blink of an eye, we were talking, and I said to her, "Hey, I'm thinking of buying a property. What are you thinking? Like where?" And she just said, "Oh, if you would buy here, I would really love that." And I said, "All right, I'll think about it." So I went back, did my research. Even if for her it felt like, oh, he's buying here, but for me, the government was giving me $20,000 for a first home buyer's grant versus where I was
Yeah.
looking to buy previously, which was like 10 grand. So, so that was one. But then again, like just watching how Um, it was a balance of that decision, and that was how I started.
Oh,
So I had saved up. I thought I was going to be 10%, but I ended up doing 20% of that first property. And since then, I never stopped. We're currently with four portfolios now. We've got four properties, and now
wow,
now
cool.
now exploring into something called room in house, where you actually, instead of subletting the complete house itself, you actually break the house
You do
into doing the rooms.
rooms.
Yeah. So
Wow.
instead of having a turnover of about $550 per week, you're doing a turnover of 1,000 plus per week.
Whoa. These are houses in Victoria, right?
Oh, it
Geelong.
doesn't matter where the house is, as long as you comply with the rooming houses
Are
requirements.
they students mostly, right?
It's a whole range of people that have come and gone. But yeah, it's also meant to serve for students as well. Because, like for me, when I came in, accommodation and all that was a bit of a pain. And so it's just my way to try and see if I can meet that need and also meet the need of making some income from it as well. So yeah,
So you've actually like you've gotten a lot of ROI on that course.
yeah,
That 4,000 sorry, $4,000
yes,
course.
yes, for sure, for sure. Just
What course have you actually not get your ROI on that you've taken on? You know why I'm
yeah, yeah,
asking?
yeah. No, I don't think there's been any. Because even from going through the program that you profoundly put together. I mean, like I said when I said it then, I don't think at that stage you probably had the depth of knowledge that you do now. And so now
No,
I think now you would understand more where that.
I I can't wait for Tayo to watch this and be like, "Whoa, my goodness!
Yes,
No wonder, no."
yes. So
Wow.
it's done profoundly so much, and in the time we've been able to, my wife and I actually, so we so after we did the first one, she also had hers, and then we combined forces, and so far we've done four properties, and one of the for us, one of the most fulfilling was when we bought a property for my mom. So we we
Yeah.
we literally surprised her. We went for our honeymoon and we had to think about it. We
Wow.
prayed about it, and we were just in a position to do it. And so we sold an old car and a few things and got her a brand new car, and the
Wow.
house.
Congrats. That's great.
And thank you. And it was just a thing of joy. And for us, that has been like one of the most exciting thing, to be able to be such a blessing to our parents,
Yeah.
um, and be that blessing. And not only that, we've also set up an African store for her to kind of keep her
Yeah.
sustainable as well. So that's kind of, because for me, the way I look at things is I like the things to be self-sufficient. As much as
Yeah.
it sounds like, oh, I'm a go-getter, because of how much I get involved with so much, I'm now in a stage that I want things to run themselves, to look after themselves. And if it's
Systems.
not, then there's something wrong. I've got to either cut it off or look at something, or like look at doing it differently in a different way or manner. Yeah,
Absolutely. I think that's one thing I've learned about you as well. You're a system person,
yeah,
because you do a lot of things,
yeah, yeah,
like a lot of
yeah,
things that if you don't systemize it,
yeah.
it literally will just drain your blood. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and yeah, it's very important. And congrats with your mom,
Yeah.
your wife.
Thanks, man.
Let me not get into how you met your wife. Maybe that's love at first sight. Maybe that one is for another day, because that's gonna be another 4 hours. But
That's
let's
right.
crack on. I know your wedding was very interesting. You went to India, right?
Um.
And did a
So
or was it done in Australia?
so it was in Australia. Wedding went for a week.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So my wife, as you know, is half Nigerian, half Indian. I
Oh.
first met her in 2018. She's gonna kill me for this. Um,
Oh.
and
You better get the date
I
right.
know, I
Hey.
know. When we met, I think it's 2020. I dare say it's 2019. When we first met, she called me a different name. She said hi, Chidi, and I said, huh? No, my name
Mm.
is not Chidi. She thought it was a friend of hers, and she goes, oh, sorry, and she walked away, and I went, I'm Jim, by the way, literally. I was like, damn, where's she from? She just looked different. Obviously, she looked beautiful,
Yeah.
but her facial
Yeah.
feature, I could tell was Indian, but I couldn't place her hair. I was just confused. I was like, where are you from? Anyway, so the birthday party we went to was very boring. We literally bought the cake for the birthday celebrant and did the dishes. So we ended up entertaining ourselves during that birthday. And that's kind of how we
Yeah.
met. I asked her out. She
Yeah.
said no. We moved on. So it was not a love at
Oh.
first sight, unfortunately.
Oh, it wasn't
No, it
okay.
wasn't. But I think.
But for what we know about Jim, he's not going to give up, is he? No.
Oh well, look, in that situation, he did give up, and then at some point, far down the track, he saw the light back, and I think we're in a better place. We both, and that's an ongoing debate in the house now. It's like, oh, you ditched me, and she's like, no, I don't think you were ready. You had all these other options, so go deal with your options.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, we got reconnected post COVID, and it's just been amazing. We're learning about each other
Oh,
every day and growing and liking each of ourselves. There's still stuff that she does that's annoying. There's stuff that I always do that's definitely annoying, and I don't think anyone would be able to cope with me but her. So I love her very, very much. She's an amazing soul.
amazing.
If she hates something, Noah,
Yeah.
she cannot hide it, and that's a problem. That's a problem because if someone comes and she doesn't like that person, she does not know how to pretend.
Exactly.
She cannot just smile. You would know. You would know. So that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's so she's true and true, and
Mm,
yeah. We didn't go to India. We did everything down here in Australia, and
yeah,
we're very intentional
yeah,
about it. And a
yeah.
lot of my friends are still bitter because we couldn't accommodate everyone. Noel. I was the president of Nigerian
Wow,
Association at that time. I've done a lot of international
wow.
student recruitment. I've been the president of
Yeah,
Geelong Student GISA, Geelong International Student Association of in Geelong. I've
yeah.
obviously had a lot of friends and network, and so it was just impossible for us to have everyone. And it didn't want it to
I
become
know.
like a Jim's wedding and this lady, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
we had to balance it. So any of my friends watching this that didn't make it, because I up until last 2 weeks, I
We
still
have,
met someone that
yeah.
went, bro, you didn't invite me to your wedding. I'm like, bro.
Oh,
So yeah,
no vex,
no
no
vex,
vex.
no vex, no vex.
Great, great, amazing.
Yeah,
So I think, because of time, let's dive into, like, so why did you decide to upskill? Like, at what point, or when, what was the tipping point for you to say, hey, I need to check out what's new, the next thing in tech? I know that story. You met Sophie,
yep,
and
yep,
she told you about the program, all the skepticism about, all of that.
yep,
And then eventually you called and we had the conversation,
yep,
and but before, backstory, before then,
yep.
like, what was it for you?
I think for me, anything that I do, I try to make sure my why is really strong. Before I jump into
Absolutely.
anything, I have to know why am I doing it? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? And I was in a point in my life where things were good, but were unsustainable.
Hmm.
So it was a matter of how far or how long would this last? So, and that's when my why started. Like, I need to do this because I want something sustainable.
Hmm.
Um, and so that why was the tipping point, if that's what you're asking for. So obviously you know the story.
So
Yeah, sorry.
not sustainable.
Yes.
Can you? I want to get into the meat of that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, of course, concise one. Yeah,
So not sustainable.
yeah,
As you know, like when you're doing a job that demands a lot of hours,
yeah,
and the reason why I'm keeping it, it's to benefit
yeah,
all the
yeah,
viewers. If you're doing
yeah,
something that you're finding yourself, first of all, as a casual, yes, the money's good. Oh, if it's about the money, we can talk about that. Like, there's some good quids you can make doing that
yeah,
hardcore, right? But when you realize that when I'm sick, what happens? When you start asking
hmm,
yourself that question, um,
hmm,
when I get married, or I have my, so you could have been, you probably married now, or you might be thinking of getting married, or you're already, you're not looking to get married. That's totally your choice. But when I want to have quality of time to do, maybe I want to spend more vacation time. Will what I'm doing now allow for me
hmm,
to do it?
hmm,
Those were the questions that I started asking myself. And
hmm.
unfortunately, the answers to all those questions kept being no. If you're not well, uncle, this thing you cannot do it. If you want to go on holiday, uncle, this thing will suffer. If
Yeah.
so, all those questions kept being no, no, no. And that's when I knew
Wow.
that I had to do something different. And it was not a matter of what, it was a matter of when.
Hmm.
I knew that this couldn't be, and so something's gonna give. The question was, when was that gonna happen? Because it was gonna happen. It was just a matter of
Yeah.
what will it then
Right.
be,
Yeah.
right? And and obviously then the story falls in, you know. I met this and met Sophia. She pointed me this direction. We had a chat, and it was a no-brainer because really I was already at that point, and I just wanted to be sure that the decision I was making, and know that okay, it was a conscious decision, so I don't look back going, oh man, if I had only, you know.
Yeah.
And you said something because I already had that in my mind. You said to me, look, dude, you can do this course in September. You can do it in September, but I
Yeah.
want to challenge you to get started now. And that was one of the things I was already thinking. You know, it was like, it's not about, it was more of, like, I needed to get it done. I
Yeah.
just needed to jump in. And so it's not, and you gave me an exact scenario, which to be honest was part of the thing that I was processing. And I knew that, yes, it was a bit of a fear, but it was affirming that, yes, that was a possibility.
Hmm.
So that was my why.
Interestingly, I still did the same thing today. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
But like, like I remember then I think we were like 2 weeks in the cohort already. And you were like, oh, maybe September. I told you
Yeah.
then. I can't remember
Yes.
verbatim, but
Yes.
like I just encourage you, like
Yes.
do it now.
Yeah.
Your opportunity after this training, you can start to
Yep.
apply, and all of that,
Yep.
and you can get this job. Fuck, you can change your
Yep.
life. So like it's just incredible that thankfully everything worked out, but it wasn't without its challenges.
Absolutely.
I know how hard you worked for it because, of course, you're a busy man. You have all of these other things you were doing.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to understand, like, because that's one problem that a lot of our students face.
Hmm.
There's so much pressure,
Yes.
family, work, this pressure, everything. So they have to squeeze time, and sometimes the motivation that got you started start to wane, like, I don't have time to come to class, I need to go for that shift, I need to do this, I need to. But seeing you, typical scenario of somebody that was super, I mean, I don't, I think that, yeah, I'm busy, but as at that time, like you're so like, uh, yeah, one of the most busy people I know. Literally, you did your certification like almost catching a flight, and that still blows my mind. How much you put into work and everything you have to balance.
Yeah.
So how did you actually balance things? I know your why is strong, but like,
Let,
how did you get
let
yeah.
me ask you a question. This goes to the viewers as well. If I told you that if you come to my house at 5 a.m., I'll give you $1 million check, would you? Would you
Hmm.
come?
I'm there. Should I come tomorrow morning? Absolutely.
So
Oh,
hold on a minute. You just said you'll come. I'm sure you have things doing tomorrow. So what in that split second happened to all those things?
deprioritized.
That's it.
Wow. This is all of fame. I need to frame this part.
That's it. If I told you,
Whoa.
because what happens is when we start the journey, we think, oh man, yeah, if this thing is really true, I want to do it, right? And then you start and you're like, ah man, but I can't really see. I'm gonna preach a little bit here, so go with me.
Yeah.
Every seed that is
Hmm.
planted dies first.
Hmm.
Think about that for a second. Every
Hmm.
seed that you plant, it dies first.
Wow.
It dies and then it begins to grow. Every seed
Hmm.
that you plant. And when it starts to grow, you don't see it outside. It starts to grow as the roots. It's the same thing with what you're seeing right now and thinking, oh man, Jim is tenacious. You think it's smart, and not really, to be honest. You know, it's because you're seeing the leaves, you're seeing the fruits. You haven't seen the root. I've given you a glimpse of some of the roots, right?
Hmm.
So understanding that there is that process in every journey that you embark
Hmm.
on is essential. So the why is okay, I want to plant this seed. And then you take the step and you plant the seed. There is a process after that. A lot of us plant it and then we walk away,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So for me, yes, I had till tomorrow. We onboarded a secretary to the Nigerian Association of Geelong, and I showed her one of the grants that I've done. And she goes, oh my God, I've been doing this grant for consistently almost 3 years now. The whole process. She goes, ah, is this what you do every time? I said, yes, right? That's one. My mom lives in Australia. She currently doesn't work. That's two.
Hmm.
I'm also a married man. That's three. I relocated my cousin from Nigeria to Australia. And at that time, I was trying to support her to settling down. So I had to take her to
Hmm.
Queensland, make sure she had a place and all that, and then kept in touch with her, make sure she got a job, all of that. I relocated two of my uncles, one of my uncle and one of my aunts, to Vietnam, ensuring that they're supported and all that. I had an international student supporting business. I'm engaging with students on a daily basis. I had a car rental services, engaging with rentals every day. I had a house rental myself. I'm doing that on the go. I also MC constantly on the mic MC.
Yeah.
So there were
Yeah.
all of this, and there were valid excuses, very
Valid.
valid,
Yeah.
to go. You know what? I'm school. This thing, no, I cannot do it. But in the midst of work, even if it meant me getting a headphones and putting in my ear,
Hmm.
so I'm hearing Noah talking, even though I know it's recorded, but I'm still hearing some parts. I'm going. The one I can, I'll put on my camera, I'll watch. Okay, the one I cannot, say, okay, put on your camera, I'll watch. Okay. And the moment I'm done, in the gap of maybe I'm waiting for a flight or something, I'll pick my laptop, I'll do part of the assignment, I'll keep. Or maybe before
Hmm.
I leave the journey, I'll say, okay, 30 minutes, I'll give this thing 30, 20 minutes. Let me just understand. Or maybe it could be before I sleep. I finished the day, I'm tired. I'm like, you know what? Let's do something.
Hmm.
The truth is, if you don't
Wow.
move, you're going to be stagnant in life. You will be stagnant,
Wow.
and you will have nobody to blame but the excuses that you are consistently giving. Now, my point is this. I'm not saying that the what people mention is not valid. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that people
Of
don't have
course.
real challenges. Some people might have sick children that are 100% dependent on them. Family
Yeah.
members. They might
Yeah.
have their own
Yeah.
illnesses. That's completely
Yeah.
understandable. But the truth to life is this. Don't let life happen to you
Hmm.
going through a situation. Sometimes for us to experience different encounter, we need to push harder, push a little bit harder, stay a little bit more consistent, and go, this one, I want to see it through. This one, you know
Hmm.
what? I might, man, even if I can't do the full class, I'll attend for an hour. Even if I can't do this, I'll
Hmm.
watch the recording. Okay, fine, yes, I'm going to work. I'll put it, instead of talking to my friend, I'll listen to the recording. When I get to work, that 5 minutes that I have, I'll do something. And
Hmm.
prioritizing it, like truly just going, you know what? Let me do it so that the excuse wouldn't be that I didn't do it. That was my own. My own was like, this thing no one said when I started. I don't want it to be that, oh, it's because you didn't show up for class. That's why you didn't get the interview. Or it's because you did this.
Hmm.
That's why I didn't want any part of my part to be lacking. I said to myself, as
Hmm.
long as these guys are committed, from the moment I was
Hmm.
getting feedback like, oh, your assignment this, or I was like, these guys are not slacking. Why should I?
Hmm.
I just said to myself, these guys are committed. I honestly haven't seen sets of Nigerians that are, even including myself. I was like, wow, I really valued the support. And I was like, no, this will not go to waste for me. And I'm so glad that
Hmm.
1 year later, we can still have this conversation and see how much
Absolutely.
difference and how much impact it has. The truth is this. This is now to everyone listening. You will have a million excuses to give. Something will
Hmm.
be important. But the question
Hmm.
is, why are you choosing to go for it? If it's not for you, leave it. Go down your path, hustle your hustle. I did my hustle in the time that I wanted to. I did the grind. I was on the street like for years. I did that.
Yeah.
But I got to that tipping point and I knew that for me, something had to change. If you're not at that point, then that's fine. It's going to
Yeah.
be difficult. But when you're at that point, don't let any other thing hold you back. That's just my 2 cents.
It's more than 2 cents. In fact, I need to send you check.
Yeah,
Because even me, I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
oh my goodness. Hearing this is just super powerful. Now,
Thanks, man.
like I have more context
Yeah,
about why we started with saying that you're driven, like you are result oriented,
yeah,
and we can already see the things you've gone through in your life
yeah.
that gives more context about this. Ah,
Absolutely.
like we were very emotionally invested,
Mm.
like in that journey.
Yep.
We are always invested in journey to support, people we work with to get that outcome. That time when you got that first interview
Mm.
and you crushed it, and that second one turned out to be what I was actually worried. Remember we had a chat, like
Yeah.
I was worried. I thought like your motivation would just die, like that's it.
Yeah.
But I was surprised how quickly you picked yourself up and went again. And now today just gave me clear vision, like clear understanding of why.
I don't see
You
him
know,
now.
you
Is
wanted
it when you are seeing 100, 99 is nothing. The rejections that were coming that year from the visa reject, they were like, they were taking
yeah,
turns. So for me, it was like, okay, yeah,
honestly.
that one didn't work out. That's all right. you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Circling back to that experience, that first interview you got, I remember the
Hmm.
feedback, how you beat people that had 10 years experience because of some things you did
Yeah,
differently.
that's right.
And I can already see why as well.
Yeah,
Like you literally, you sent me the voice, you sent
yeah,
us the
yeah,
voice note,
yeah,
and I'll send it to our previous cohort, like the guys that are still like in the market at
yeah.
that time,
Hmm.
and they'll be like, how is this person doing the first BA interview at this point?
Yeah.
They were in disbelief, like, no way this person is doing the first interview.
Oh, yeah,
Even going to how you did research on, I think it was the green initiative that
yeah,
that company wanted to do. You did
yeah,
research about the
yeah,
company, you had facts, figures, all those things to buttress your point.
yeah.
And that was just super
Thanks,
you
man.
know
Thank you.
so I can already see like why that happened, and you're just incredible, to be honest.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So you've shared a lot of advice,
Yeah.
and now we're almost going to 2 hours, and
Yeah,
yeah, let's just talk about so you've been in this career now for a while,
yeah.
a couple of months now. How are you feeling about it? Just very short. Yeah.
It's been good. It's given me the balance. My wife and I are now expecting, and so it's a big part of the journey for us. And so, um,
Congrats.
being able to be present for her
Yeah.
has always been an important thing for me.
Yeah.
And to be like support my family. It's a new journey. Like I said, I don't have any sibling, no brother in the family, no sister. It's just
Wow,
me.
that's
So starting a family of my own is pretty massive, and
it is.
yeah. So this has really given me that opportunity to have that flexibility. I work with a great team. I'm learning every
Yeah.
day. I had my like a short challenge, and we brainstormed with Taya, and she said to me, "Hey, I'm actually excited that you're going through things like this because there are
Absolutely.
people that take 6 years, 7 years to actually explore and get to this point where they actually face these things, but you're facing it now, and so it's
Yeah.
even refining you ever
Building your
more." And I said to her, I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, I've never thought of it that way." So I'm just
Uh,
grateful to God for the opportunity, and I really want to challenge and encourage people out there to step out of your comfort zone, man. Give it a go. It's something
hmm,
that has been profound, has been really, really worth every penny. It's honestly, it's been worth every penny. So just my way of
uh,
saying, hopefully people will take it up.
and I tell you, like, you don't know, but I also share sometimes your story, like, depending on who I'm talking to and how your story aligns.
Yeah,
We use different testimony to align during discussion to motivate. And I tell you, so many people, and even how you come sometimes when we're opening
yeah,
our, new core, just to realign that mindset and really shape how people are always like referring to that story you shared, that journey, and it's always profound and inspirational to all of us.
it's
So
good.
thank you, because you're a living testimony and
Facts.
like evidence of why we do what we do. Like,
Yeah,
it's also a validation for us, because like we
absolutely,
can't just be working out and there's no result, and it's just
absolutely.
very depressing. So
Yeah,
yeah, so thank you so much for
no problem.
inspiring us. I'm
Yep.
sure the depth of what you've shared today would inspire generations, and you don't know
Amen.
how, like,
Yeah,
previous podcast, a few other guests, I've gotten message like, oh my god, that that story, this one is even like mind-blowing for me because I don't know some of the things you shared today.
yeah, yeah.
I'm hearing it for the first time as well, right? So
Absolutely. There's
like
there's
it's
always Something
it's
new.
it, yeah, always something new. I mean, it's just really amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, man.
And I think, I guess you've already shared, a lot of advice. No need to actually go there. You've talked about your struggles. You've
Yeah,
talked about strategies,
yeah,
even CV optimization,
yeah.
so many things. I just want to get into, like, for somebody
Hmm.
who is looking at changing their life, who has, like, they want to start a family. But
Mm.
before that, I want to ask you, are you going to compensate and have 10 children?
Definitely not. Definitely
Oh,
not. Definitely not.
so how many do you
Well,
want to
my wife and I
have?
started with seven. I've always,
Whoa!
yeah, but I've always been three, two or three. So she's come down to one now, but no, I think two or three by God's grace. Yes.
No, I know it's because of the way she's feeling at the moment,
No,
right?
trust
So
me,
she's
she's now back to one. Yeah, I
she's
think
back to one.
yeah. No, I think we'd
But
probably
you would
need to.
want more than one, yeah.
Yeah, definitely two or three
Yeah.
max. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So thank you.
No problem, man.
So what advice?
Advice?
Yeah. Do you
Um,
have any other advice you share to somebody, like, thinking, oh, I don't have tech experience. Oh, this is, I don't have time for this. Oh, I don't think I'm smart enough. Oh, am I going to get a job? All of these issues or limitations that they think they have,
first of all,
limiting beliefs. Well,
First of all, if you feel like that and you can reach out to me, please reach out to me. I'll definitely love to talk to you. That's one. But if you don't have or
yeah,
are not able to reach out to me, then this is what I'll say to you. Truth is, it's probably not for everyone. Let me start there. If you haven't got to
yeah,
the point
definitely.
where your why is strong enough, then keep doing what you're doing. Maybe at some point, right? That's fine.
Yeah,
But if you are in that point where you think that, man, I've done it all and this is not working and I want something different and I want to start something else, what I'd say is give it a go. Definitely give it a
mm,
go. And I can assure you, put you in your 100%, you definitely get something out of it. That's what I can say.
mm.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Very
Thank you.
valuable. We have
Thank you.
this tradition where, yeah, we have this tradition where we actually leave. So the previous guest actually left you a question.
Okay.
So I know you have to cut.
Yeah.
So so he said, to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
why would, like, what is your idea of a perfect society for African, or sorry, for immigrants in general in Australia? From any perspective, really.
Oh,
Immigration,
I already have
finance.
our thoughts is we need to stay connected. We need to continue to support
Hmm.
each other. And that's why what you're doing is profound. That's why I respect it. I'll support it any day, any time. It is something that's essential. If you look at the Jews, the Greeks, they do this very well. They stay connected. They buy
Hmm.
from themselves. They build their networks. They build literally
Yes.
their
Yeah.
community. So I think that that's something we need to do more of. I feel like we have not even started it in Australia. So we definitely need to do more of that.
Yeah. And just on that point, I hope you're aware. The last couple of weeks, we actually went to Canberra. So we
Yeah.
went to showcase our app. So it's about doing just that, really.
Hmm.
So we're going to connect African, immigrant businesses with consumers,
Yeah.
and also help people, yeah, start business and stay in business,
Yeah.
really. But thank you so much. Just to round up, do you have any question you want to leave for the next guest?
Oh, my
Ah,
simple question would be, what was your why?
hmm,
What was your
on
why?
anything, right?
Yeah. What was your why?
Cool. Thank you so much, Jim. It's been a blessing really having this chat with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
And I'm sure, like, it'll come back to you with good blessings from people that you've touched with your message. Thank you. Thank you.